It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Hello to all. Welcome to Divas That Care Network. I am Joyce Benning, and I will be your host for this absolutely invigorating, robust lifestyle show. I would like to thank each one of the listeners that have tuned in live today and the ones that will be listening to the recording on the podcast. I am just so very grateful and thankful for each and every one of you. And you are all in for a very special show today, as I have with me a brand new diva, Kathleen Mason, and her and I are going to chat about intuitive life coach. Oh my, is this going to be a special show? So Kathleen, could you please introduce yourself to our listeners today?
Oh, hi everyone. Not to be specific, but I go by Kathleen Carol Mason since there's so many Masons out there. And, I help women in their 40s and 50s who are, they feel that nudge to make a change in life, and maybe they're not clear on what it is, or maybe there's something holding them back, and we go deep down into soul and get them into creating a life that's aligned with who they really are.
Oh, what a rewarding career for you to be able to help these women to go deep down and get that soul clarity that possibly they've been wanting all their life and didn't know how to really go down and get that soul clarity. Oh, I love that. That is just beautiful. I've been looking on your website and your Facebook page, and oh my, am I ever inspired. This is going to be a great chat today because there are so many women out there, I feel, that are feeling stuck and needing that extra help boost to get them out of feeling stuck. So how would you like to start this show, Kathleen, as we chat about intuitive life coach? I will just let you kind of lead the show, and I will just kind of come in, and we'll go from there.
Well, I think in today's society, we've become really disconnected with ourselves. And now, besides having the internet, which came along, and social media, we're searching Google for answers like, what's my purpose or whatever, and we just become more and more disconnected. And now we've got AI, and people are using Chat GPT, and all these external resources that really don't have the real answer. It's our own divine guidance. So we have to get back within ourselves, and back around, it's been over a decade now. I wrote an award-winning book called Lose the Diet, Transform Your Body by Connecting with Your Soul, because I could see how women especially, we try different diets, and it's all very analytical, and it's not based on our emotions and what's really going on inside, and finding that balance on the inside, which creates balance on the outside. So that was kind of my journey on the coaching part. And back then, I was in a high-level commercial underwriter, very analytical corporate job. So I totally understand being in our head, because I had to turn over every rock, because I worked on multi-million-dollar commercial loans. We had internal and external auditors who would come in and look at our work, and it was just so analytical, because we had to have so many pages of explanations of why we were doing everything and why we should do something, But it doesn't necessarily work that well in life, because all these shoulds and what we think we should do and what seems to add up is usually not what works, ironically. And I began to feel like I I was wearing a pair of shoes that were a size too small. Like, it's just not fitting for me. I wanted to help people, and I didn't feel like, as I wrote in my bio, I didn't want my tombstone to read, "She had a great 401k." Because I felt like, okay, I'm making this salary and I'm taking my vacations and whatever, and then that's going to be it someday. And that it was so meaningless to me. But what happened was, I remember one day I went to get a massage, and the young woman who was doing the massage, she was so happy and so excited, and she couldn't say enough about how she loved her work, which was mind-blowing to me, because I was used to watching the clock tick down, like, is it Friday yet, And it was kind of like Meg Ryan in When Harry Met Sally, where the woman was saying, I want what she's having, when she was, like, faking an orgasm in the restaurant. But the woman was just so happy and excited about her work and as a healer and everything, and I went, this is really interesting. And at the time, I started reading books, too, like The Law of Attraction and Think and Grow Rich, and diving into mindset, and understanding on a deeper level who we are and what our purpose is. And I was really digging into that a lot in my 40s in particular. And this woman had said to me, the massage therapist said, well, I went to this healing art school, and I just loved it. It was so much fun. And so I thought, I'm going to check this out. And so I went over there, and then I sat in on, like, a massage therapy class, and they were talking about how to deal with hairy backs on men and stuff. And I just thought, okay, this isn't for me, because I'm not so much of a touchy-feely person. But I really got into, like, the mindset, the transformational life coaching tools, really going deep on that level. And I love that part. And so I started doing that, and that's when I wrote my book and started working with people and women mostly, and finding that I had a knack for helping them to go really deep quickly and finding the answers. And by the way, for those of you out there who wonder about hypnotherapy, it's guided meditation, and to me it's intuitive, and it's helping you get into soul. It's not about controlling anyone. It's about helping you to find the answers within yourself. Because I used to seek out psychics and other people, because I wanted other people to tell me what to do. And I my blog I was reading the other day about, I was always asking other people, what do you think? What do you think? It's like that movie Runaway Bride, where it was never working out with these men because she was always becoming what they wanted and who they were, and she wasn't being herself. So it's really helping women to discover who they really are. And it's only, I believe, through doing it ourselves and being guided, I just guide you, that we find the true answers. That divine guidance is the only true answer. And I learned this the hard way, because when I finally did take the leap from corporate, because I got to this point where it's like, oh no, I'm not going to be here when I'm 65 or whatever. I'm so out of here. And I just had that intuitive nudge that I couldn't ignore anymore. And I think when we do ignore it, it can manifest in unhealthy ways when we resist being who we are and being in alignment with ourselves and living that authentic life, because it can manifest into dis-ease. And I was watching other people that I was working with. I'm not bashing the corporate world. It's whatever it is that it's in alignment for you. But at the time, it wasn't. What I was doing wasn't right for me, and I thought, I'm watching these other people getting ill because they're not happy, with themselves and what they're doing. So it affects us mentally, emotionally, and physically when we're out of alignment. But when I did take the leap, the other part is clarity is one thing. Then we get into fears and limiting beliefs, because I went off on these other tangents of, maybe I should do direct sales, and maybe I should have an in-home care business. And I ended up starting 5 different businesses, not at the same time, but I went through like a 10-year roller coaster of, finding myself and self-discovery and getting out of my head and into my heart, which, and keep, you keep getting slapped by that cosmic 2x4 when you're not on the path, because it's like, okay, that wasn't the right path. That marriage was right. Got divorced twice, got married twice. So in 10 years, I moved, besides getting divorced twice and married twice, I moved 7 times, twice across country with like 10 animals, 5 horses, 2 goats, a couple dogs. The 5 different business models. And through it all, my mother and stepfather developed dementia and passed away 6 months apart. So there was a crazy decade after all this of massive change. It was being like being on a roller coaster inside of a blender. And I want to help other women to avoid the pitfalls and get the clarity they need, first of all, and not waste years trying to figure it out in their head. And then get past those fears and those beliefs that send them on the wrong path. They know they're not on the right path, but what happens is it shows up as like resistance. And we usually know the answers within ourselves, but we're not consciously aware of it. We're not connected. Right. Again, we're disconnected. So feel free to interrupt at any point.
Oh my goodness! I'm just loving it, Kathleen. I've taken so many notes of points that you brought across on how the divine guidance connects us with our soul, and we have to go inside to find the balance. And I agree so much with all of this. And life is not in black and white like it can be in the corporate world. Like you said, you had to have everything written down with how it was. And I can so relate because I came out of a financial world position also when I left that. And I mean, when you go inside yourself and get out of your head is where I truly believe you find yourself. And you have that on your website. You went to a healing arts school and they told you to get out of your head and into your heart. And I just think that's so beautiful because my horses have told me so many times, just live from your heart, and that's where you will find the answers. And I'm like, oh, it's so true. So those were just some things that I wanted to put in because I was like, oh my, this is all so fitting to just exactly what kind of life I feel I've lived myself and so many other women experience also.
That's really interesting, and it's almost like can be a midlife breakthrough. But I think we should start a revolution because I feel like in our society we're getting further and further away from that connection, although some people are understanding and realizing, having kind of an awakening, like I need to meditate and I need to do some other things to go within. And I was just listening to a successful entrepreneur yesterday saying that one of his habits, is daily meditation. So he understands that, but not everybody does. And now we've got all this AI stuff that, well, I'm just going to look that up or ask whatever the Google device or something, what I should do or what the answer is. And that's okay if you're driving from point A to point B, but not when you're going down the road of life necessarily, because, again, you're the only one that has the right answer. If you ask 10 different people, they're going to give you 10 different answers, and it's all based on their own beliefs, the way they were raised and what they've experienced. And it's a beautiful thing when you do see people really get on track, because when we're living an aligned and authentic life, we're most effective, right? We can be who we really are and in our true gift and serving the world in the best way that we can. And I relate to what you said about animals, because I was, even when I was diving into the intuitive side, also I was doing some animal communication, so I was really getting into intuitive work. But I also realized that I really wanted to help others get into their intuition. That's what I'm most passionate about, not giving others the answer.
Right. Because what my horses have always relayed to me, too, is the answer lies within inside you. You have to go inside to find those answers. And how true it is when you go inside and find yourself and find those answers, just like trust. You have to trust yourself, I truly believe and feel, before you can trust others. And each one, I think, goes inside and experiences it in a different way. I mean, my horses and my dogs have just been the huge ones in my life, the ones that have helped me to go inside and find myself. So there's so many different ways that people can do it, and I just love to hear how you, as a coach, like you said, you're not giving them the answers, you're helping them to find the answers. And I love that. That's how I feel what my horses and my dogs have done. They just guided me and helped me to find the answers. So I love what you're doing and everything that you're saying. It's just spot on.
Yeah, and the animals, I totally relate on the animals. I had a horse that passed away in April, and a cat who felt like he was my soulmate cat or something, because he was always by my side. And he was like this wise, he had a wise energy about him. And I've got a couple dogs, and, I've got a couple goats. I have a goat who's just, anyway, that's a long story. I saved his life when he was 6 months old. It was just different. He's not your average goat. But I feel what animals, part of the equation of what they help us with is to go within ourselves, because of they bring us out of our head. They help us to relax. We talk to them, we pet them, right? We're in that energy that's different from people, because people can be so all over the place. They might be stressed or angry, whatever, rightly so, from stress or whatever's going on. And the animals are more even tempered in a way. I mean, they have their moments, but I believe that, they help us to connect to ourselves through that stress relief, that relaxation. And on some level, guidance, so I help people through intuitive guided meditation around connecting to whoever's helping to guide them as well. It could be animals, it could be ancestors, it could be different things. Right now I'm teaching a free class on soul clarity, and part of it is sacred space, and getting into our sacred space, and which can be whatever is relaxing for us. It could be out in nature, it could be a spot on our patio, and it could be an area with our animals. Some of us have animal ashes, even. If you're an animal lover. Animal urns, or even where I had buried my horse, I turned it into kind of a sacred space, a meditation area. I've got a couple outdoor meditation areas. So it's a way to kind of turn a negative into a positive, but no believer with us. Anyway, and that's going off on another tangent, but it's all about...
I think that's another show, girl.
Yeah, it is. But soul connection, that's what we're talking about here, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, but I've developed a powerful process based on what I've learned and my working with others that's fairly quick, that can save a lot of years of heartache of trying to figure out who am I really, and digging through the layers, because we're kind of like an onion. We have to keep peeling those layers away of who am I, where am I, and all that fear and all that other stuff. And again, it's we're in our head, and we're in that, when we're analytical, we're in our head, and we're at that like 20% conscious part of our mind, which isn't very effective. We got to go deep. That's where the meditation comes conscious, the other 80% roughly. And like Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge, and it's our imagination that's at the subconscious level. So we get down into our imagination and imagine what we really want out of life and who we really are. And we can even use our imagination to find out where we're getting stuck as well. And it's so much faster. Like, cut the crap.
Exactly. It's just so much. Get out of that. Get out of your head. Get out of the ego. Get out of whatever you want to call it, and just let go of that, and just be led by what your heart is telling you. And I love that with Einstein, what he said about the imagination is more valuable than the knowledge. And oh, how beautiful that is, because I've asked so many people, well, what is your passion in life? What do you imagine with your life? And I've heard so many answers of, I don't know, I don't have a clue. I'm like, okay.
But the truth is we're level.
Right.
But they can't see it because they're disconnected. Yeah.
Oh, I so agree. They've so disconnected from their inner self that they don't have any idea. And that's where I feel what I'm hearing you are doing, that's where you come in and can help guide them to reconnect with that deeper self and that inner self where they can experience their passion in life. Their imagination can come back again. They can feel whole is how I almost kind of want to put it, because that's how, to me, it is. Once you go inside yourself and find your inner self and that divine connection, it makes you to be a whole person, and it just makes the whole world so much better.
Yes, and I think we're there when we're born. You know, we are in alignment, our authentic self, and we're living at the subconscious level as children, and that's why children are so imaginative, drawing and creating and whatever, and then somewhere around the age of 8 or whatever, somewhere in there, we get we get more into our head as time goes on, and we absorb all these beliefs and fears of those around us, and we can turn into somebody that we're really not in the long run. And I want to mention as well, empaths. For those of us who are empathic, meaning we're sensitive, we pick up on the feelings of others. Oftentimes we are animal lovers because it's a way to retreat to a world that, like I say, more even, more, whether you want to call it unconditional love or whatever.
Right.
But as empaths, we can pick up on other people's emotions and feelings, and then it may not be our feelings that we're feeling and thinking as far as the direction we want to go in. And we can also be people pleasers as well. And we can start to, do things because we think we should, because we turn to people pleasers because we can feel other people's emotions. And if we can help them to feel better, then we feel better. So then sometimes we want to do the things that please them so that they feel good, and then we feel good, and then we get stuck again because then we're on the wrong path. So
it kind of becomes a vicious circle.
Yeah, I was just saying, we can spin our wheels when we go off on those directions. There's so many layers. It's, so many other shows we could talk about, because I got into narcissism and, empaths and narcissists and doing things that the narcissist wants, and, just never ending, really. Coming back to Were you going to add something to that?
I was just going to say, I so agree. I feel there's so much more for this continuation of shows that I want to just jump in and ask you, will you please be a guest back on Robust Lifestyle Show again, so we can bring this knowledge out to the women out there in the world that are listening and looking for this kind of help. I would love to have you back, Kathleen Carol Mason.
Sure. My pleasure.
Oh, that would be awesome. Well, the other thing is this show has gone so quickly, which I knew it would. And before we do close this show, I would love for you to share with our listeners how they can connect with you when they hear this show and go, I need to connect with Kathleen. It's just really sparked my interest, and I want to connect with her. What are the best ways to do that?
Well, my website is clearlyblissful.com. My business is Blissful Publications because I've always loved that Joseph Campbell quote, follow your bliss and the world will open doors for you where there were only walls. Clearly Blissful is usually where you find me. My Facebook page is Clearly Blissful as well, and I have a Facebook group called Clearly Blissful. So I'm on Instagram under Kathleen Carol Mason. So, but if you go to the website, you'll find all that there.
Oh, perfect. Oh, that sounds great. Well, Kathleen, like I said, this has gone so very quickly, and I want to thank you so for being my guest on Robust Lifestyle Show and sharing all your wisdom and knowledge with our listeners. And I am so excited to have you back on another time where we can continue to share in the very near future about all the different topics you kind of started to touch on, and there just wasn't time to even go into them. So I'm like, my interest is so intrigued, and I know the listeners are too. So I just want to thank you so much and wish you a very magical day for the rest of your day today.
And you as well. Thank you again. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, you are so very welcome, and that makes two of us that really enjoyed it, and I know our listeners did also. So I would like to also thank each one of our listeners for listening to this incredibly amazing show with Kathleen Carol Mason. Be sure to share this show with all your family and friends, and be sure to check out all the other hosts and their shows on divasthatcare.com. And remember, like she said in different times, get out of your head and into your heart. Find that divine guidance on the inside where the true answers are. They are definitely there to connect with your soul. And Kathleen Carol Mason is there to help guide you on this journey. So another quote I saw on her website I just loved was, be free to live the life you love. So keep that in mind too as you have listened to this show and are sharing it with your friends. Remember, be kind to all. Have an absolute magical day, and give your animals that great big extra hug and share your love with them until we connect again on Robust Lifestyles. Stay strong and healthy.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.